The fan's iPad shows model A2588 at the bottom of the back panel. The iPad can turn on normally. We enter the password and go to Settings General About. It is a 256GB Chinese version iPad Air 5. At this moment, you might think I should test the charging, but do not do this. Why? Let's continue and see. It will completely change what you think, no matter if you've encountered a charging port liquid detected issue or not. This video is a must-watch. I hope this video helps you. And please give me some support by liking it. Thank you. We opened the screen to check, but there were no visible water damage marks. The iPad Air 5 screen has 3 flex cables. We disconnected all 3 cables one by one, then we removed the screen. Now, let's examine the inside. There are 2 batteries, 2 stereo speakers below, and the motherboard on the side. The charging port is soldered onto the motherboard. Here's the rear camera and fingerprint button, the front camera and 2 light sensors. We disconnected the battery, then we isolated the battery from the circuit. Unlike the iPad Pro series, the iPad Air's charging port is not detachable, so replacing it is very complicated. We first disconnected these antenna cables, then we disconnected the fingerprint sensor and rear camera flex cables. Next, we disconnected the front camera and top speaker cables. The motherboard is glued to the frame, so we need to heat it up and slowly separate it from the shell. Why didn't we test the charging first? Will replacing the port fix it? By the end of the video, we'll reveal the answer, and also, a big secret that others won't tell you. Now, we've successfully removed the motherboard. The charging port is soldered here. We peel off the isolation tape. Then, we apply flux to the solder joints. Next, we use hot air and a thin CPU removal blade to carefully separate the charging port. After removing it, we clean the area. We apply flux again and smooth out all the solder joints. Some people silently watch videos, but they secretly like, comment, share, and follow. Such people are so kind. Then, we use a sponge to clean the solder pads. This is the motherboard after removing the charging port flex cable. Look at the many tiny solder joints. Now, let's examine the fan's old charging port. You can see a lot of electrolyte residue on the top side. There are green corrosion marks too, so why do we replace it instead of just cleaning it? This issue started after Apple switched iPads to Type-C ports. We aligned the new charging port in 2 directions. First, we fix both sides in place so the port doesn't move. Then, we solder each connection one by one. Have you noticed? Ever since iPads switched to Type-C, charging issues have become very common. No matter if you use an iPad or not, I strongly recommend watching this video until the end. I want to share all my repair experience so you can avoid costly mistakes. After soldering, we insulate the connections, we clean the back of the motherboard, we apply double-sided adhesive. We clean the inside of the frame before reinstalling the motherboard. We reconnect the front camera and top speaker cables. We reconnect the rear camera and fingerprint sensor cables. We reconnect all 3 antenna cables. Then, we apply adhesive to secure everything. Next, we install the new charging port. We clean everything again. We remove old adhesive from the iPad edges. This is important for reinstalling the screen. We place the screen on a heating pad. We remove old adhesive from the back of the screen. We use factory-grade adhesive to reapply it. Then, we install the screen. We reconnect all 3 flex cables for display and touch. Finally, we tighten the battery screws. So why didn't we test the charging first? Because many iPads start with a simple charging port failure, but constant testing causes the charging IC to fail. This is very common with iPads. So what should you do if your iPad has this problem? Keep watching. We turn on the iPad. Now, we test all functions. We insert the charging cable. We wait a while to see if the charging disconnects randomly. We test both sides of the Type-C connector. Charging is back to normal. Now, let me share a little secret with you.